would have likely broken.
It's like Mustafa still. Damn, you see how hard Mustafa. So, 16 wrestlers who saved other wrestlers from injury. Now, I was into WWE when I was a kid, and I just got back into it, I guess at the perfect time, because Triple H had just taken over creative, I think a few months before, or yeah, before I started back watching. And this was when it was on the uphill, when right before WWE started trending, and then the Bloodline story, all that. I feel like I got into it at the perfect time. You know what I'm saying? So I figured, why not react to this? Let's start it.
While wrestlers try to make it seem like they want to destroy each other, their real goal is to put on a good show and make sure.
I'm so into it now, bro. I'm into it way more than when I was a kid. Well, when I was a kid, I loved it, but I didn't know all the intricacies. I didn't know about what, like, being over, like the baby face, heel. Well, I knew about heels, but I didn't know that the good guys were called baby faces. Like, I'd be following all the, well, now it's X, but all the superstars on Twitter.
Sure, both themselves and their opponent don't get hurt.
I love watching this stuff. I pay so much attention now.
Injuries avoided thanks to quick thinking. Braun Strowman's last match in WWE nearly ended with him becoming paralyzed. Minutes into the fight, Strowman performed a senton onto Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. The Monster Among Men didn't get enough momentum, and his head was headed straight for the floor. Luckily, Drew McIntyre adjusted Strowman's body so he landed on his shoulder.
I love that pro stuff.
The SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks, had her first title defense of 2021 at the Royal Rumble.
Veteran
Even though her
stuff,
opponent was the most beautiful woman in the world, Carmella, the match nearly turned ugly. Carmella went for a suicide dive, but something went wrong.
That was a nice catch. Did she ask her how she was?
Thanks to Banks grabbing her, Carmella didn't over-rotate and saved her from a serious head injury. Sasha could even be seen asking Carmella if she's okay after the dive.
That's fire.
Suicide.
I will say that I love those like crazy dives that are like missiles. I love that. But it's always scary because you just want the superstar to,
no matter where they happen.
Safe.
On an episode of AEW Rampage, Darby Allin was having a match with The Butcher. Allin went for his signature suicide dive, but the timing was off, and Allin went crashing into the metal barricade. Thankfully, Darby Allin walked it off like nothing had happened and continued wrestling. That likely wouldn't have been the case if Butcher hadn't caught Allin and slowed his momentum down. Also, Chris Jericho, who was on commentary, covered this character-breaking moment really well.
So I don't watch AEW much at all. I don't know why I said much. Well, I've seen clips, you know, and this Darby dude is, I feel like he's always getting beat up. So maybe I think he's extra durable, you know.
Darby's headed to that fence as well.
On an episode of Raw in 2000,
that's fire. Yeah, Jericho.
We're going one-on-one.
I feel like he should do commentary because that was a good cover up for breaking character.
On an episode of Raw in 2000, Christian Devon were going one-on-one.
Commentary regularly.
Edge and Bubba Ray Dudley kept getting involved, leading to a post-match battle. Matt and Jeff Hardy came running out to join the chaos, leading to Matt and Devon going through a table. Seconds before that happened, a chair was laying on the table. Edge quietly removed the weapon to prevent his fellow wrestlers from injuring themselves.
That's fire.
This is a prime example of why fast thinking can be the difference between a wrestler going home or going to the hospital. In 2021, Mustafa Ali and Matt Riddle were feuding with each other. This resulted in a match between the two on Raw. The finish was going to be Ali hitting Riddle with a backstabber from the top rope. Their positioning was off, so in midair, Ali moved to prevent his knees from coming down on Riddle. Had Mustafa Ali not done this, this match likely would have ended very differently. The St. Patrick's Day Slam edition of AEW Dynamite featured a massive 10-man tag team match. Bodies were flying all over the ring, and the match nearly turned serious. One of the wrestlers in the match, Marco Stunt, was thrown too hard to the outside. Luckily, the Butcher was able to catch Marco.
Yo, this Butcher out here saving lives.
Mascarita Sagrada is a legendary luchador, but his career nearly came to an abrupt end. In 2014, Sagrada was wrestling a match against a man named Son of Havoc. Havoc was accompanied by a woman named Ivelisse. She got herself involved in the match by attacking Mascarita Sagrada while the referee wasn't looking. When Mascarita saw an opportunity for payback, he took it and hit Ivelisse with a suicide dive. Either Ivelisse briefcase was too far
That
away,
was a nice
or
catch.
Masquerita
That was a
Serrata
nice
didn't
catch.
get enough speed because the luchador was inches away from slamming onto the hard
I like
floor.
that.
Luckily, Ivelisse caught Sagrada and broke his fall and probably saved him from a career-ending injury. The Money in the Bank ladder match is one of the most exciting but also most dangerous matches in WWE each year. That's why it's good to have veterans part of the match, and Kane proved that in 2010. The Devil's Favorite Demon was trying to reach the briefcase when Dolph
Makes
Ziggler
sense.
interfered. This is supposed to
How come there's this like I've never I just got into it, so I've only seen one Money in the Bank since watching WWE again. Why is this ladder different? Is it because a big guy like Kane is in the match? Because I guess the one I watched, there weren't
to a
really
spot
any big
where Kane
guys.
threw
No, I think Bronson Reed was in it. If I'm not, I could be tripping.
over the top rope. Things didn't go as planned, and Dolph's leg got caught in the rope. The Big Red Machine quickly saw what had happened and got the show-off out of there, preventing Ziggler from injuring his left leg. 4 years later, at the same event, someone else would be inches away from a bad injury. In the closing moments of the 2014 Money in the Bank ladder match, Dean Ambrose was about to win the contract. Funny enough, it was Kane who ran in and prevented
Kane
the
saving
lunatic
lives.
Fringe from grabbing the briefcase. Of course, the Big Red Machine's arrival was signaled by a blast of fire. Zeb Coulter, who was Jack Swagger's manager, didn't seem to know this was going to happen and was standing right below one of the ring posts.
Oh.
Luckily, a WWE referee grabbed Coulter and got him out of the way seconds before the fire went off. Ironically, a few years later,
What?
the roles would be reversed. In the main event of Raw,
He wasn't. I mean, yeah, he was near the fire, but he wasn't like.
Ironically,
whatever.
a few years later, the roles would be reversed. In the main event of Raw, Randy Orton was wrestling a match against AJ Styles. Just as the Viper was getting ready to hit the RKO,
By the way, I'm so happy that I got into it after they had to do everything in the Thunderdome, I think it's called.
Alexa
I'm telling you, I got back into it at the perfect time.
Bliss appeared on the screen. She then lit a match.
And you know what's crazy? It was all by chance because I remember I was on TikTok and I was watching Nikita Lyons. And that pin she did, I was like, I got to get back into this. I got to get back into this. I got to. And then I remember I think it was a Rhea Ripley or Liv Morgan, one of them. And I was like, I definitely got to get back into
Which
this.
caused fire to shoot out of the ring posts. In a blink and you'll miss it moment, Randy Orton signals for the referee to move away from the ring posts.
Oh, that's fire.
Thankfully, the referee understood
that's fire.
and walked away
No pun
without being
intended.
harmed. Early on in his career, Chris Jericho had several moments where he came close to suffering a serious injury. Thankfully, he worked with experienced individuals who helped keep him safe. Fans witnessed this happen on WCW Saturday Night. Jericho was wrestling a fellow cruiserweight, Alex Wright, and as you'd expect, the two had a fast-paced athletic match. At one point, Chris Jericho went to perform the Lionsault, but didn't get enough momentum to complete the move.
Wow.
Luckily for Y2J, Wright was able to catch him and cushion the landing, preventing Jericho from suffering a head or neck injury. On an episode
Why is he going for, I mean, maybe, I don't know. When I was watching as a kid, I did like Chris Jericho, but I feel like I never saw him jumping around like that.
2021, the United States champion, Damian Priest, was set to defend his title against Apollo Crews. Everything was going smoothly, and the two were putting on a pretty good show. The match nearly turned ugly when Priest and Crews went to the outside. Damian did a flip off the ring steps, but either he didn't get enough speed, or Apollo wasn't close enough, because the United States champion
Nah, he didn't get
almost
enough
landed
height.
on his neck. Luckily, Crews caught his opponent and was able to gently guide him to the floor. The suicide dive is an awesome move, but there's a reason it's called that. Mike Awesome and Spike Dudley had an incredible but brutal match at ECW's Guilty as Charged pay-per-view. One of the many insane moves that was performed was a suicide dive. Spike went to hit Mike Awesome with the move, but his feet got caught in the rope.
Oh
Awesome acted
my
fast and caught
gosh.
his opponent,
No,
and
he's
it's
too
a really
clean
good
for
thing
that.
he did.
He's too clean for that.
ECW did not have mats on the floor, meaning Spike
Wow.
Dudley would have landed head first on cement. This moment
You know what's crazy? I feel like I've seen so many suicide dives, but I've never seen any botched since I've came back in. I'm always surprised because I'm like, you don't get your feet caught, you don't get your arms caught, nothing. Like,
to show how important
Yeah.
clear communication
I feel like you got to practice so much for moves like
and
that. man.
timing are in wrestling. During the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania 35, Luke Harper and Mustafa Ali were fighting near the edge of the ring. The plan was for Harper to lift up Ali and Braun Strowman to eliminate both of them, but Strowman missed his cue. Harper and Ali eventually had to let go and try again. Braun was ready this time, but he kicked Luke Harper before Harper and Ali were properly set up. Thankfully, Harper's able to rotate Mustafa Ali, so Ali landed on his back.
Yeah, that just looks like a
Had Luke Harper not done
crazy
this,
spot.
Mustafa would have likely broken his neck.
That looks
During
like a
the main
crazy
event of
spot
WrestleMania,
because
Harper not done this, Mustafa would have likely broken
it's
his
like
neck.
Mustafa still. Damn, you see how hard Mustafa. You see how hard Mustafa
Thankfully, Harper's able to rotate Mustafa Ali, so Ali
hit his head on the
back. Had
bam.
Luke Harper
That's crazy.
not done this, Mustafa would have
Wow.
likely broken his neck. During the main event of WrestleMania 12,
That
Bret
that
Hart
spot is dumb. That spot's it's cool, but that is dumb.
proved why he's worthy
That's
of being
insane.
called the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. During the
Especially with Braun. I don't know. Like personally, I feel like when I see Braun wrestle, I'm like, it doesn't look. I don't know. I really haven't seen him wrestle too much, but he just gives me that imprecise type of feeling. You know what I mean? From like the way he moves.
60-minute
Like I remember, I didn't just see. It was a while ago, but I saw him throw a ricochet and completely missed the.
match, Hart's opponent, Shawn Michaels,
He cool
hit
though.
Bret with a
He cool.
crossbody from the top turnbuckle to the outside. HBK overshot it and almost collided with the steel
Wow.
barricade. Bret Hart managed to grab Shawn's body and guide him away from the barricade,
Wow.
saving Michaels' head from smacking into solid steel.
Was that when Shawn was an asshole? I really don't know when Shawn went from being an asshole to being, saved and a cool guy. So, and I know he had especially a lot of beef with Bret. I don't even know. I think I would assume before Bret scoot Bret situation happened.
WWE
So Bret doing that, I feel like it means even more,
legend Bam Bam Bigelow had a troubled past. As a teenager, Bigelow was arrested and spent time in a correctional facility. While Bigelow wasn't perfect, he was far from a bad person. An example of this can be seen when Bam Bam, Kevin Sullivan, and Cactus Jack, aka Mick Foley, teamed up to take on 3 enhancement talents. This match took place during a time when wrestlers who weren't under contract were often not treated the best. The wrestlers who were under contract could be pretty rough with them in the ring.
Yeah.
The enhancement talent would often just
I
take
hate
it
that.
since they were hoping to get signed.
Right.
This makes it even more heartwarming seeing what Bigelow did. The finish of the 3-on-3 tag
Because I feel like it's an independent wrestler. Like, honestly, personally, I hate squash matches. I really do. Like, have a little back and forth, a little bit. Like, I'm not saying you got to make it seem like they have a chance, but like, allow them a little offense. I've seen a few now, up to this point, a few squash matches with independent wrestlers from the area or whatever, and they're always so boring because like they can't do anything and they're not gonna do anything, so like what's the point? I don't know.
match saw one of the enhancement talents get flipped into the air, but something went wrong and the man almost landed on his head. Thanks to his strength and quick
Wow.
reflexes, Bam Bam Bigelow caught the wrestler in midair and saved him from a potentially career-ending injury. During a match against Goldberg, Undertaker was inches away from losing
yeah.
his life.
I've seen that.
To see that,
And I saw
watch
the
this
video of them
on
talking
WWE
about it.
wrestlers who almost died on
Really
live
good.
TV.
Jesus. Bobby Lashley strong as hell. All right, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did like the video, if you did, try another video, maybe like that one, and then keep your head up. Peace.
I'll walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I fear no evil because I'm blind to it all.